सतत म्हणजे नाही राहत आहेत म्हणा सतत म्हणजे पुन्हा येथून पुन्हा करतो असं होतं असं होतं. हा. हे यांच्या नाही हैदराबाद किती दिवसाचं काय किती वेळाचं
রায়গঞ্জ ডিভিশনটা আমি যোগাযোগ করতে পারবো
আবার দেখা একবার
আমি দুবার দেখেছি এখন আধ ঘন্টা পরে
व्हिडिओ आणि voice दोन्ही पण. फक्त ऐकायचं आहे.
বাদ বাকি সবাই পাঠিয়ে দেবো সবাই চিঠি
ব্লুটুথ ক্লিক করো না
স্যার আসছি স্যার
ওটা ওখানে এইটি দেখো
স্যার তাহলে একটা ওয়ার্ক অর্ডারে মানে ও যদি আড়াই টু করে
তাহলে হ্যাঁ
ওটা ওই এদিকে আড়াই
ওই এজেন্সি দুটোই করে
তাহলে
একটা আরেকবার হবে আর একটা
আড়াই টু হলে তাহলে হবে স্কিম আলাদা হোক
হ্যাঁ স্কিম আলাদা
স্কিম আলাদা
ও যদি ওয়ার্কারটা সেইভাবে দিয়েছে ওদের 4টে জায়গায় দিয়েছে
হ্যাঁ তাহলে
মানে হচ্ছে একটা জনপুর তার হচ্ছে
ওয়ার্কাররা যতবারই কোন স্কিমে আগে দেবে আড়াই ওয়ান আড়াই টু আড়াই থ্রি আড়াই ফোর করে এর মানে
আরে সেটাও দিতে পারে বা আরে ওয়ানে দিতে পারে 4টে স্কিমেরই কাজের আরে ওয়ানে দিতে পারে সেটা কিছু নেই
একটা ওয়ার্কার
একটা ওয়ার্কার আছে সেখানে যদি ও ধরো 4টে স্কিমে কাজ করছে
হ্যাঁ
ঠিক আছে তাহলে 4টে স্কিমের পেমেন্টই ও আরে ওয়ানে দিতে পারে
চারটে দুটো স্কিমই তো আলাদা আছে তোমার তো দুটো স্কিমই আলাদা মানে আমাকে বহন করা স্যার বলতে হবে স্যার কি বলবো সেটাই বুঝতে হবে
সেটাই বলবে ওরা ওরা দেখুক না ওরা জানে না
হ্যাঁ ওরা জানে স্যার স্কিম ওরা যদি বলে আমি তো স্কিম আলাদা দিয়েছি আমি তখন
স্কিম আলাদা হলে তো কি ওয়ার্ক অর্ডারের এগেইনস্টে আরে ওয়ান আর বিল দুটোই কি করে জানেন একটা ওয়ার্ক অর্ডার একটা ওয়ার্ক অর্ডার তো 4টে
OSDMC,
ট্যাগ করতেই পারে
please put your microphone on, please.
করতে পারে
আরে ওয়ান একটাই
Hello,
ঠিক আছে
everybody. I request to mute your microphones. Well, Dr. Ramesh, sir, I can see you. Welcome, welcome. So you can check the screen before your presentation so that everything is fine.
Fine. Good afternoon. Do you hear me all right, sir? Do you hear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just asked you hear me all right?
No,
Right?
no, just you can check it, sir. We are yet to start. We have few
Fine,
minutes
fine.
left.
Okay.
Just you can check your screen, sir.
Fine, fine.
So very good afternoon to all the participants, including our resource person, Dr. R. Ramesi. I hope you are ready for the presentation, sir.
Yes, sir, join हो गए.
Yes, sir. Dr. Ramesh sir will join shortly, sir.
Hmm.
Good afternoon. This is Ramesh. I'm online.
Yeah, Dr. Ramesh sir is already there.
Yeah.
Okay. Just let me check for our advisor, sir. He was in a meeting, in fact. Just give me 1 minute, 1 or 2 minutes, so that I can check his availability for this webinar.
Please control, sir. Please control. Video also control.
Once again, a very warm good afternoon to all the participants. Our advisor sir is still in a meeting. Probably he will join later, as it has 5 minutes past 4. We wish to start the webinar. I hope Dr. Ramesh sir is ready for a presentation. It is really, really nice to have you in this webinar. As usual, we are very happy. As you know, that in Shyama Prasad Mukherjee National Institute of Water and Sanitation, we always try to disseminate knowledge across the country amongst all the stakeholders that is beneficial, in particular in the water sector. And in this series, this is our 18th webinar. And today's webinar, Dr. R. Ramesh, an associate professor from National Institute of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj, Hyderabad, will make a presentation on the topic community-based financing the operation and maintenance of rural water supply system, findings from an empirical exercise. Many people know well Dr. R. Ramesh he doesn't require introduction, but still, for the formality's sake, I would like to say you that Dr. R. Ramesh has a PhD in rural development. His training and research interest revolves around JJM and SPMZ. He has prepared several handbooks and manuals on these subjects. A proposal he wrote on rural water supply won the World Bank's India country level marketplace award in 2004. His experience includes training expert for a Danish International Development Agency assisted water and sanitation projects in the government of Tamil Nadu for about 5 years. Currently, he is in charge of training and research on waste-related subjects at the National Institute of Rural Development and Panchayat Raj, Hyderabad. In today's webinar, Dr. Ramesh will present results of a study conducted on financing mechanisms for operation and maintenance at GP level. The presentation aims at clarifying the need for a financing mechanism at GP level and the results of an empirical exercise conducted on this problem. This presentation shows what lessons we can learn from this empirical exercise. It has certain recommendations that focus on the points to consider when we have to develop a financing mechanism for operation and maintenance at GP level. As we all can understand, the importance of sustainability of the assets, the service assets we created under JJM and SPM, which are gradually being handed over to the local agencies like Gram Panchayat, in some cases maybe BWSC, but really it is very difficult task. And if they are not properly trained, not properly make them understand how to finance the projects for sustainability, it will all our public money will go into the drain. So definitely to this presentation will give a very good input to make assets sustainable and give best benefit to the public. The presentation will be for around 1 hour. And during presentation by Dr. Ramesh, I request all the participants kindly to mute their microphone. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for other participants also to hear what Dr. Ramesh is saying. After the presentation, definitely you know it well that we keep an interactive session for half an hour. And during half an hour, I request you all to raise your hand first before putting a question. And I request you to put a small question, short question, so that we all can participate in the question answer session. Now, with these few words, I hand over this platform to Dr. R. Ramesh for his presentation. But before that, let me check if our advisor sir is there. Sir, have you joined, sir? Dr. Mohammed Isfaq, sir? No, he's still not there. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ramesh, for sparing your valuable time to give this presentation. Over to Dr. Ramesh.
Thank you very much, sir, for this introduction. And I must really thank Dr. Ishfaq, advisor at the Nivas, and also all the team at the Nivas for arranging this webinar successfully. You have conducted a series of webinar on this topic, water or sanitation. In this particular presentation, like it was introduced, that this is results of a research study conducted that I would want to share here. And what I believe is that the results of these studies might give some insights for all of us here, and we are all working in this sector. And I'm sure, like I am very much pleased to have so many subject experts here now. So maybe when I share the results of the study, it might give some insight on how this community-based water supply system at the panchayat level is working. Just an experimental one taken up in one of the states, and the results might give some insight for us to move forward, and also what lessons we draw from this to be able to tweak the program, or how we can facilitate the gram panchayats to take up operation and maintenance. And before I move on, I think I'll share my slides so that it is I hope you are able to see the slide, right? Okay, okay. So this is the
Yes, sir, it is okay.
like introduce community-based financing, the operation and maintenance of rural water supply systems, study results. So one of the important elements of Jal Jeevan Mission, we know, is cost recovery for service delivery. We provide water supply and cost recovery must be done by the panchayats. So we know that it is in the responsibility of the panchayats to provide water supply or sanitation services. And at the same time, it is good that if they can make cost of recovery also to be able to meet the expenses. So the objective is making the village panchayat to become self-reliant in bearing the operation and maintenance cost of water service delivery. And this has been one of the challenges, not only in India, in many countries for that matter, that how do we make the local bodies, especially the rural local bodies, to bear the operation and maintenance cost of water service delivery. And it cannot be with the states endlessly, and because the state can provide the facilities required, the state can install the physical infrastructure required. But when it comes to operation and maintenance, these local self-governments, they are called governments at the local level. Panchayats are called governments at the local level. They should be able to take up. So that is the idea. So making the community bear the operation and maintenance cost is just, I would say it is only an intermediary milestone. I call it intermediary milestone because the desired ultimate destination ought to be gradually taking the local community towards paying the replacement cost also. I mean, if you see some of the developed countries, how they manage, and they have gone to the extent of the community bearing the replacement cost also. But now we are discussing about the community bearing at least the operation and maintenance cost. That's what we are trying. And when it comes to the cost involved in water supply, maybe these are the three major heads we can think about. Creation of the facilities, right? One is that you create whatever the physical infrastructure required, right? So that is creation of the facilities. That is done by the Jal Jeevan Mission, 100%. And then the operation expenditures, like mainly the electricity charges for pumping water or waterman's salary or plus chlorination expenses, all these we call operation expenses. And when it comes to maintenance, it is about setting right the repairs, leakage, replacing worn out components, all that we call maintenance. So creation of the facilities, the government has taken up completely upon the government, state government, central government. And then when it comes to operation and maintenance, the onus is on the Gram Panchayats to take up. Now when we say that the Gram Panchayat should take up, and we cannot just have a fond wish that the government panchayat we have handed over to the panchayats, now panchayats will take over. We cannot have that just wishful thinking and hand it over. And I would say that all of us involved in the sector, it is in our responsibility to show them the way. If you say that you should be able to operate and maintain, how do you operate and maintain technically? Do you have the capacity to operate and maintain technically? That is one aspect of that. And then the second thing is about the financing involved in operation and maintenance. Do they have the capacity? Do the panchayats in Indian villages, do they have the capacity to operate and maintain or meet the operation and maintenance expenses? And these are some of the things we need to think about. So it can, maybe we can think about the collecting user charges through tax and non-tax sources. And generally, the highest amount of expenditure, if you see in any of the Indian villages, if you see, it is the expenditure incurred on water and sanitation related services. And we can go across to any village, anywhere in the country. We can find, if you ask the panchayat presidents, where do you spend most of your money? They would say that it is in the operation and maintenance of water and sanitation services put together. Right? It can be road cleaning, drainage cleaning, water supply, and repair and maintenance. All that. That is one of the major expenditures that the panchayats are supposed to bear. Right? And this presentation covers especially about water and not about sanitation and waste management related expenses here. So this is a kind of action research on community financing taken up. And this is a field study conducted in about 17 panchayats covering about 35 habitations in Tamil Nadu. And the idea was to find out to what extent community financing for operation and maintenance can be materialized. Because when it comes to operation and maintenance, we expect the community to take up. We expect the panchayats to take up. So let us find out what extent the community is able to do that. And in these 17 villages, what's happening about operation and maintenance and how they are meeting the operation and maintenance expenses. Let's see that. And for that, we need to have a pattern or a model or mechanism, as I called in the title. So we need to have a financing mechanism or a financing pattern or financing model for the Gram Panchayats. And you and I should teach them that why don't you try like this? Why don't you try? Every state is supposed to train the panchayats in having a pattern, having a model. You try this model, maybe you will be successful in your operation and maintenance. We should be able to provide that. And so I call it a pattern of collecting user charges, and it must be taught to them. Now, when I say financing mechanism prescribed in these cases, whatever I'm going to talk about, one is the functional house state connection holders give a deposit of about 1,000 rupees, right? Refundable 1,000 rupees. And then if there are any, functional house state connection holders also pay 30 rupees every month as use charges. And if there are any public fountains or common water collection points, and they are supposed to pay 10 rupees. And then 20% of the amount collected as house tax or property tax can be used for operational maintenance expenses. Let us say that these are some of the GOs available. That one is that every functional house state connection holder, he is supposed to give a deposit, number one. And number two, every month they are supposed to pay a user charge, and that is differential user charge. In the sense, differential in the sense, suppose somebody has not availed at all the functional lake connection, maybe they are using a public fountain or a common water collection point, so they should also pay. And then about 20% of the amount collected as house tax, property tax can also be used for operational maintenance expenses. And the next one, if you add also, maybe you can include also the 15th Finance Commission fund available for operation and maintenance or water sanitation related expenses. Maybe this is a prescription, let us assume. Now, with this in mind, let them work out what is the expenditure involved in water supply, what is the actual expenditure. They will be able to tell us the actual expenditure because they know how much was the electricity bill last month and how much is the electricity bill this month. That is one. Similarly, water tank operators' salary, breakdown maintenance taken up, chlorination of water, periodical cleaning of water tank. So they have all these expenditure items, and this is confirmed that they are going to incur. They are going to incur month after month, month after month. So these are actual expenses involved. Now let us see what are the sources of income. When it comes to sources of income, I say theoretical. This side I am saying expenditure actual. It is for sure, because water supply is something you cannot stop. It is something regular. So I call it actual. But sources of income, I say theoretical, because this is something that we wish that the panchayat should be doing. Water charges collected from the functional house state connection holders, because there is a model given to them that you collect user charges from the water users, and and then interest on cost and deposit. You collected deposit and keep that as a cost and deposit. It will be there in the bank, and there will be an interest accumulated also on the deposit collected. And then house tax collected, and that is another item. And in some states, house tax, property tax collected. In other states, it is called in several different names. In Northeast, they call animal tax also. There are several different taxes that the panchayats can levy, and some states panchayats are doing well in tax collection. In many other states, they don't do. So if you ask them, when we ask them to work out a budget, the budget they work out, it is deficit. When they work out itself, that they are able to show us all the expenditures involved, and then when they work out the actual income that they can be getting, they are not able to make out. So it is coming at the deficit budget only. When they work out, the workout itself is deficit, in the sense they are not able to make out. Where they will be able to mobilize from. Is it really possible to collect money from the users and all that, right? So now, when it comes to the reality, okay, you collected because there is a GO that you need to collect user charges. So how much is the income collected? What are the sources of income? So when you say the sources of income, 71% of the functional tape connection holders, they paid. 19% collected as house tax was used, and then public the common water collection point users, about 10%, that was the source. So if you see the source of income, 71% come from the functional house state connection holders, and 10% come from the common water users source, And then about house tax collection, 19%. Can you please ensure your mic is in?
Madhya Pradesh, Jalnigam, please. Madhya Pradesh, Jalnigam, please put your microphone off, please. Madhya Pradesh.
So expenditure incurred on water supply. I showed you the income and the expenditure incurred on water supply. And if you see, 66% they have incurred on electricity bill, and 25% on maintenance, and 12% on operator salary.
Yeah.
Madhya Pradesh Jal Nigam, please, would you please put your mic in mute?
Madhya Pradesh, Jalnigam, please. Madhya Pradesh, Jalnigam, please put your microphone off.
So this is the expenditure.
Wait, sorry.
Right. Now, this income I was mentioning about, income from households, if you see how much income they collected, in one of the panchayats, they collected annually, or collected only less than 20 rupees. And in about 5 of the panchayats, they collected 20 to 40 rupees. And then about 6 panchayats, they have collected from 40 to 60 rupees. And then for 2 panchayats, 60 to 80 rupees. You are able to see now in the 17 panchayats, how much money was collected annually. So just in about you can say 11 panchayats, they have collected more than 20 rupees. That is also up to 60 rupees. The highest amount collected is 120 rupees annually. You can say that this is annual. And that is just also in one panchayat, that is 120 rupees, you can say that. So this is the annual income collected by various panchayats, and what is in what range they collect. Right. Now, if you see the annual expenditure incurred on all these households, if you see the annual expense, this is annual income, it ranges from 20 rupees to 120 rupees. This is the income. If you see the expenditure, annual expenditure incurred on households, you can say it varied from 150 rupees to 350 rupees. 2 panchayats, they incurred 150 rupees, and 5 panchayats, they incurred between 150 to 200 rupees. Now you are able to see how much is the expenditure involved. So let me go back to the annual income. It is ranges from 20 to 120 rupees was the income collected from various households, and the expenditure incurred is starting from 150 and it goes up to 350. You can say that. So this is the expenditure. Now, when you compare the income and expenditure, on an average, each household pays 54 rupees per year for water supply. If you see the average, because I say the highest goes up to 120. If you for these 17 panchayats, if you see the average, each households pay 154 rupees they pay. And on an average, the GPs incur 233 rupees per household for providing water supply. How much the panchayat incurred in terms of expenditure per household? It is 233 rupees. So there is a deficit of 179 rupees per household. So annually, this they are incurring 179 rupees per household. So this accumulates year after year, making the GPs unable to pay the electricity bill. And water supply expenditure is one of the major expenditure incurred by the Gram Panchayats, we can say that. So now when you analyze, why is this income less? Many households do not pay for water charges. This is something obvious that many of us know. This is one thing. Many households do not pay. And then, but water is an essential service that GPs cannot stop supply because somebody did not pay. The panchayat cannot say that we will stop supply, and so it will have some social community repercussions. And then besides economics, there are also socio-political reasons why the panchayat functionaries are not able to insist on payment. And the poorer families resist paying when they see some well-to-do families also are not paying. Right? This is another. The interest that is supposed to come from, this is another. We mentioned that there is a cost and deposit collected. So this money is supposed to be in the bank. So it has to accumulate interest. But the interest that is supposed to come from the deposit collected from the functional house state connection holder is zero, because many Gram Panchayats use up the deposit in breakdown maintenance, because they were supposed to keep that money in the bank account, but whenever there was some breakdown maintenance to be attended to, they drew that money also, and then they used up in attending to the repairs and leakages and all that. So the assumption that this deposit will bring interest is almost zero. it doesn't work out the way we anticipated. Now, why is the expenditure more? If you see that is about income, then why is the expenditure more? The amount of water supplied to each household in many of the Gram Panchayat is almost double of what the state government prescribes as standard norm. We say 55 liter to 70 liter per capita. The government of India says 55 liter, and government of Tamil Nadu says 70 liter per capita, and the state governments have their own, their own norms. So like in Telangana, they say 100%. So similar, so each state government they have. So let us take it 55 to 70 liter per capita. So the amount of water supply to each household in many of the Gram Panchayat is almost double of what the state government prescribes as the standard. That is one. The second is the average supply was found to be 127 liter, 128 liter per capita. 127 liter per capita average supply. When we say it can range from 55 to 70, you can provide 55, you can aspire to give up to 70. But what is given here in all these 17 panchayats, if you see the average, it is 127 LPCD. In some cases, where the villages are called as model villages, and it crosses even 200 LPCD, they call themselves model villages because there is plenty of water that they are supplying. And that is one of the reasons they call themselves model villages. In those villages, it crosses even 200 LPCD. So over pumping of water results in fat electricity bill. This is one thing that we need to know, that it is obvious. The more the pumping and more the electricity bill, the bigger the electricity bill. For the size of the population, this is another factor. One is over pumping and the fat electricity bill, and another factor is for the size of the population. If you see in these villages, the facilities available, especially the water tank and then pumping facilities, all these in 16 of the 17 panchayats studied are more than the standard norm. Right, we have standard norm. What is the population and what is the ultimate population for the, what will be the likely population after 25 years? That is what you call ultimate population, right? So for the size of the population, the facilities available are in 16 of the 17 panchayats studied are more than the standard norm. This is another one, right? So now let us come to the potential income from users. We say that the income that was supposed to come was not coming, but let us see what is the potential income. If you see the potential income, even after theoretically pooling all the income Gram Panchayat is supposed to collect from the residents, it showed that only 6 of the GPs would be able to meet the expenditure. Even after theoretically pooling all the income, Gram Panchayat is supposed to collect from the residents, it showed only 6 GPs would be able to meet the expenditure. 11 Gram Panchayats still remained unable to meet the expenditure. The problems are the assumption that each household uses only the prescribed amount, that is maximum 70 liter per capita, is wrong, because I told you it is 127 liter per capita. But our assumption was, our calculation was assuming that people use only 55 liter or maximum 70 liter. But that is not the case. And people tend to overuse or waste water without knowing the cost involved in pumping and distribution. They think water is free, water is a free commodity, but they don't understand pumping involves money, distribution involves money, right? They don't realize that. So if you see, I was telling you about the population size and the reservoir capacity. In out of these 17 panchayat studies, if you see all these places, the percentage of excess capacity, 115% excess, 23% excess. You can see, I think the sixth column, and 120% excess, 13% excess, 116% excess. So this is one of the reasons that the facilities are more than what they require. Maybe this is there in many of the states. And if you see excess, if you see the last but one column, it shows the existing capacity of the overhead tank or whatever. I'm talking about the ultimate for the ultimate population. It is, again, we can find it is excess in all, except in one case we find it is deficit, in another case, 2 cases we find deficit, in one case it is right size. Right. So besides this, you have hand pumps also that are functional there in these places. So if you see the service level, those common water collection point users, and they are getting more than what they should be getting, and though even the house service connection holders, they are getting more than what they should be getting. And if you see the standard deviation, you can find that for the functional house type connection holders, the standard deviation is about 78 liter per capita. 78 liter per capita, because I told you up 127, 128 liters of water is the average wasted, average given wasted, and then the cost of water wasted. If you calculate, so if they are over pumping and the excess water is there, in the sense 127 liter average, I'm saying, just I tried calculating the cost of water wasted and the financial impact of wastage on the Gram Panchayat. So you can see here in the last column, and here the calculation has been made assuming 10 rupees per 1,000 liter. I think currently it is 13 rupees, 12 rupees 80 paisa, or 13 rupees today. But when this was done, it was 10 rupees. So we took that 10 rupees per 1,000 liter. You can see in these villages, and if you just calculate the cost of water wasted, it is 3,44,000, 3,57,000, and there is another panchayat 11 lakh, another panchayat 17 lakh. So I mean, you just you can see the cost of water wasted. So what insights we can draw from the study is the facilities, that is technical infrastructure provided in the GPs exceed what is required as per technical standards and norms. This is one. When the water tank is bigger than what is required or more than what is required, more in the sense where you need 60,000 liter tank about three, they have 360,000 liter, 1 lakh liter. If they have more, that is what I call more. And in other words, the facilities in many of the villages are more than the technical norms, and on average, 35% of the water pumped is wasted. And this is turning in the form of electricity bill, which people don't realize. So over pumping means extra expenditure incurred. Over pumping tells upon the electricity bill, and this must be made known to the communities which the GPs are unconcerned about. At least in the Gram Sabha, they can explain to them that they are they can use 55 liters, 70 liters. That is what it is, the prescribed, and we should be able to lead our lives with that. But people tend to overuse water in gardening and other cleaning of vehicles and other purposes. So that way, over pumping takes place, and average 35% of the water pump is wasted, and so it leads to bigger electricity bill. And the financing mechanism that we suggested, I was originally, when I started, I showed you a financing mechanism suggested. And in that financing mechanism, there are some assumptions. One assumption is all the users are paying for water, or at least 85% pay for water. That is one assumption. But we find that, I mean, not 85%, maybe about 20%, 15% of the people paying. So that is one of the assumptions. All the users pay for 85% was one of the assumptions, which is wrong. And then house tax collection is 100%. This is another assumption that is wrong. Right? Not everybody pays house tax. And then maintenance expenditure is under control. Maintenance expenditure, and for example, people are using only 55 liter per capita. That is another assumption. And then the house service connection deposit or functionality connection deposit collected, it is kept in the bank account and it is earning an interest. All that is another assumption which has gone wrong. And critical gap fund, such as the 15 Finance Commission fund available, and then available to be able to meet all these, we thought. And then State Finance Commission fund or state block grant available. All these were the assumptions. Now, if you see the way forward, the 15 Finance Commission fund must be used only as a critical gap fund, which this is what it is expected of the panchayat, that we use this money only as a critical gap fund, meaning to fill any deficit even after collecting the user charges. You collect your user charges, and your user charges that you are collecting, it has to be affordable to the people. And so if there is a gap, and see that as a critical gap and use the 15 Finance Commission money to be able to fill that critical gap. That is the recommendation we give in our training programs and another training programs. But 60% of the 15 Finance Commission fund is meant for water and sanitation related work. It is tied, we know. But the thing is, tied portion of the 15 Finance Commission fund is meant for carrying out water related development works, and not to be diverted for paying the electricity bill. Now, what is happening is this money that is meant for water related development works, but it is being diverted for paying the electricity bill, right? So it means that money that should be used for water related development works, it is being paid from one department, it is being paid to the another department. That's how it is going. But in most cases, 15 Finance Commission funds are diverted paying the electricity bill. So in other words, 60% of the 15 Finance Commission fund is meant for water and sanitation related works, and it must be used as a critical gap fund, not as a prime source to draw from to meet the operation maintenance expenses. So paying the electricity bill using 15th Finance Commission fund amounts to transfer funds from one government department to another, that which should have been actually used for development purpose. This is something we keep emphasizing to the Panchayat President. Also, we try to make it from NARD. We keep emphasizing and we make the Panchayat Presidents understand this. And this is something that all of us need to carry this to the Panchayat Presidents, that make them understand that this is what it means if they use that money for paying their electricity. So another thing I would say that we need to do is let them work out. This is not happening, be it water or be it solid waste management. This budget, working out a budget is not happening, meaning that the expenditures involved, you tell us what are the expenditures involved in a year: electricity bill, water tank operator salary, breakdown maintenance, chlorination, periodical cleaning. How much is the expenditure? Let us just sit down for about 1 hour. Let us work out this. And what are your sources of income? Let us see what is the source of income. So we need to do this exercise, which is not happening in many panchayats. They just, I mean, as run of the mill, it is all going on regularly. Water is being supplied. People are taking, people are using, misusing. But such exercises do not take place, which we need to emphasize. That they need to know what is the actual expenditure incurred, be it water, be it solid waste management, or whatever. Right? They need to know the revenues, sources, and the expenditure incurred on that. And so the way forward, I would say, is resistance to pay or unwillingness to charge. I mean, these two things are there. There are Panchayat Presidents saying people resist paying, but there are cases also unwillingness to charge on the part of the Panchayat functionaries also is happening. So resistance to pay or unwillingness to charge should be addressed through proper education, such as doing a budgeting exercise like the one I was showing you in the Gram Sabha meeting. It must take place in the Gram Sabha meeting so that everybody understands what is the expenditure incurred on waste management, what is the expenditure incurred on water supply, all that. They must come to know, let the people come to know, right? And that is the first step. And then we can start with collecting only the maintenance charges in about 2 years' time. Maybe let us try to meet only the maintenance expenses, and we should move on to collect the operation and maintenance, both operation and maintenance charges, in about 5 years' time. Let us have a time bound move like this, that let us start with maintenance and then move on to collect operation and maintenance, and getting down to do it in a phased manner on a campaign mode, guided by a comprehensive bylaw, which is not there in many places, many states. And I felt happy to see some of the states, they have this, and the NAD also has developed model bylaws for this, and it is propagating this, that you need to have a model bylaw for water supply, you need to have a model bylaw for VWC, all that. So getting down to do it in a phased manner on a campaign mode, guided by a comprehensive bylaw to assess the tax and non-tax revenues. This must be tried. And then this budgeting exercise incurred on wash services in general, such as water supply, solid waste management, drainage cleaning, etc., must be carried out as an exercise in Gram Sabha meeting, which I said I am repeating, and let them know the expenditure incurred and find out the local revenue sources to meet the expenses. And instead of collecting water usage charges, because it is not only water. When we say wash, it is not only about water. It is about water. It is about a community sanitary complex. It is about solid waste management. There are many things. We cannot be collecting user charges or taxes for everything separately. So instead of collecting water charges separately, maybe a utility charge may be collected in the demand note. When we prepare the demand note in the panchayat, and all these put together, we can call it utility charges, right? So my point is, instead of collecting water charges separately, a utility charge may be included in the demand note, which must be comprehensive for covering all wash services provided by the panchayat. Whatever be the wash services provided, let us collect just one tax or one usage charge, which will go along with the house tax or property tax, and which can be called as utility charge covering all this. This can be another thing that we can think about. And the Ministry of Panchayat Raj should take up campaigns for enhancing the own source revenue of Panchayat. This is another, and although the ministry is striving to see that the own source revenue of Panchayat enhances, so I would also urge that the Ministry of Panchayat Raj should take up campaigns for enhancing the own source revenue, that is tax and non-tax revenue sources. And then the Gram Panchayat that achieve over 90% of the demand note generated for OSR, because every panchayat is supposed to prepare a demand note every year. So if they achieve over 90% of the demand note, whatever they prepare, including the tax and non-tax sources, they must be incentivized by the state governments with an equal amount for meeting the expenditures involved in maintenance of the assets created under various schemes. Right? It is not assets created under JJM only. Let them increase their own source revenue, and if they are increasing their own source revenue more than 90%, let the state government also have a scheme to incentivize them to with an equal amount, so that it becomes an incentive for the panchayats to collect the or enhance the own source revenue. And then I would say also there is the ace of living that the Ministry of Panchayat Raj is trying to bring about in all the villages. So the Ministry of Rural Development can consider a maintenance support fund, the Ministry of Rural Development, because there is quite a lot of assets created not only under Jal Jeevan Mission or Swachh Bharat Mission, and also under NREGA and several other programs. The Ministry of Rural Development is creating a lot of community assets. So the Ministry of Rural Development can consider maintenance support fund, which should serve the purpose of incentivizing the Gram Panchayat that move above certain threshold level in Ace of Living Index. There is Ace of Living Index prepared every year. So in this Ace of Living Index, so I mean, maybe there can be some threshold level, like above 90%, above 80%, above 85%. If you reach above 80% this year, above 85% this year, above 90% this year, you become eligible for a maintenance support fund from the Ministry of Rural Development, MORD, Department of Rural Development, State Department of Rural Development. So this may prompt the Gram Panchayat aspire to move upwards in creating Ace of Living, and also to move upwards in Ace of Living ranking, so that they become eligible to claim the maintenance fund, right? So it provides Ace of Living to the people, and the panchayat moves up in the ladder of Ace of Living ranking, and also they become eligible to claim the maintenance support fund. So this can be incentivizing also the panchayats to move up in the ladder in the ranking of Ace of Living, at the same time be able to collect the maintenance support or claim the maintenance support from the Department of Rural Development. And then the State Finance Commission grants are there, besides the Central 15 Finance Commission Fund. The State Finance Commission grant can also be tied over 95% collection of house tax, property tax, right? That can be tied, because I mean, instead of just releasing this SFC grant, state government, state finance commission grant, instead of just releasing, maybe this can be tied that over 95% of collection of house tax, property tax, or over 80% collection of utility charges such as water and waste management charges, you become eligible for a state finance commission grant, and it is not just a free grant. So let it be tied to some for incentivizing again. So GPs that collect more than 95% house tax may be given an equal amount as an incentive, which helps augment the own source revenue. So incentivizing the Gram Panchayat to make full cost recovery to pay for operation and maintenance, that this is something we can consider. So this is what I have for presentation. And to sum up, I would say that yes, the community-based financing arrangement can work. It can work, and because we cannot endlessly be maintaining the assets created and on behalf of the local governments. And when the panchayats are calling themselves a local self-governments, they are governments in themselves. And so central government, state government, if they are providing them the facilities required, infrastructure required, and can't the local self-governments take up at least the operation and maintenance if they have a proper financing mechanism for operation and maintenance? And that proper financing mechanism or proper financing model, or enhancing the own source revenue, and then the incentivizing by the state government and central government, this can really move us forward in witnessing in the days to come that the panchayat become self-sufficient and sustainable in operation and maintenance of water and sanitation services. And this is what I wanted to share here. And thank you very much for this opportunity. I'll be happy if there are any remarks, or if there is any views from the viewers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ramesh sir, for your beautiful presentation. Even I didn't know much about this 15 Finance Commission grant. I have learned something from your presentation, and a very new concept about tying up the Finance Commission grant with tax and all. These are a few very good concepts. I must appreciate your presentation. And now I request all our participants kindly to raise their hands for questioning. But my request is to make a brief question, less question, so that everybody can participate. First, I have seen Rana R.K. Singh from Jal Jeevan Mission raised his hand. So please, Rana ji, you can put your question.
Very good afternoon, sir. I'm audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
So first, thank you very much, sir. Very insightful presentations. So I have two questions. In the presentation, you mentioned that about the average consumption of the water service level. You mentioned about 127 LPCD, and somewhere it is also being about more than 200 LPCD. So just wanted to understand that most of the villages we don't have the water metering system. So how we have determined this figure that water is being supplied at 127 LPCD average? That's my first question. Second question is that you also mentioned that there is a gap between the income and the expenditures. You mentioned about that we are having roughly about 54 per household annual income and about something 154 179 expenditure per household. So wanted to understand if that my view looks like that the expenditure 154 per household looks quite less. And also it will depend on the size of the villages, number of households or type of the scheme, whether it is like gravity based scheme or pumping main scheme. So do we have any standards like a specific size of villages or this type of scheme? This will be like ideal operational maintenance cost. So if I have to derive the operational maintenance cost on thumb rule, maybe with respect to the project cost basis or maybe some size of the household. So whether any data or analysis we have that will help us also to understand how it is being derived. Thank you, sir. So I think you're muted. We can't hear you, sir.
Sorry. It is me in mute. I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm happy about these two questions. The first one, I would say you are asking me how is it that I arrived at this 127 or 200 LPCD this day. I was telling you about we also collected data about the infrastructure available, and one of the water supply infrastructure that we assessed was about the number of overhead tanks available there, and number of overhead tanks. And in these overhead tanks, what is the size of the overhead tank? And maybe they have, I told you also that maybe there are 30,000 liter, another 60,000 liter, another 1 lakh liter they have. And you are able to know that what is the capacity of these tanks that you know, number one. Number two, and how about the pump delivery? They say, yeah, daily we deliver once. They say daily we deliver once. And we assume that they fill and deliver, but that is also not happening. If you go strictly, what happens is simultaneous pumping is also taking place. And if you strictly calculate, it will come more because there is simultaneous pumping going on. There is one side, they filled the tank and then distribution is going on. The distribution is going on in one side, on the other side, there is pumping also is going on. So that means when they say 30,000, it could be 30, the capacity of the tank is only 30,000. But what he is supplying is more than 30,000 also could be there. But we assumed that, okay, one time 30,000 he has filled. So he is releasing daily. So that way we are able to assess how much is the total, total water he has pumped, number one, liters of water he pumped. And then we know the population also. You know the population also. So you are able to calculate the liter per capita. You are able to calculate the liter per capita from this one. And the second one you asked about, I'm sorry, I missed it. 150.
That was cost expenditure. You mentioned about some
how to collect this. These expenditures, yes, they are able to tell you exactly the expenditures incurred. It is possible because their electricity bill they are seeing, and whether they are paying or not paying, they know the electricity bill that is coming. That is one. And they also have 7 tank operators or 6 water tank operators whom they are paying regularly, monthly, right? And also maybe some chlorination expenses and some lump sum amount of breakdown leakage expense met all that. So they are able to tell you clearly how much is the expenditure and what was it last month and what is it this month. All they are able to tell you the expenditure. But this income revenue sources, they are not able to tell you that. We have to theoretically assuming going by the prescription of the state government, because the state government is saying you collect this much deposit, caution deposit, and this much monthly charges, all that. So assuming that everybody is paying, you see what the figure it comes. And suppose theoretically pooling all this, is it able to meet? That's how we calculated. Does it meet? And if you assume that every household is paying also, it looks like it may not be enough, because there is over pumping taking place, which is not taken into account.
Right, sir. So one more clarification, sir, regarding your service level 127 MCD. So I understand that based on the tank volume and filling and putting, we are calculating the service level. So what I understand that in this calculation, we haven't accounted the NRW. So like distribution losses, there will be some more than, and India average, your NRW is 30%, 40%. So actual water reaching to that delivery point, that may not be saying what actually amount we are getting or pumped in the tank.
Yes.
So that's I wanted to understand whether this factor has been taken or just we are ignoring this factor NRW losses.
For me, I see it as unaccounted for water. Whether there is distribution loss or whatever, it may be there. Definitely, it may be there. Distribution loss may be there. But for me, my calculation is about unaccounted for water. That is what it is. In the sense you are pumping so much water, that means it has reached the household. Either it reached the household or somewhere leakage was there. That could be there. But for me, my point is about how much water you pump and you distribute. And because my electricity bill is going to come for that only. Whatever the amount I pump, I'm going to get an electricity bill. That you lost in the distribution, and that's another problem. That's another problem, of course. Yeah, I agree with you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for asking this.
There was a raising hand from Bhavna Trivedi. Are you there? Miss Bhavna Trivedi, I saw you raising your hand. Trivedi ma'am? Sure. Oh, perhaps something has happened. She has logged out for some reason, maybe. So, any more question from anybody else?
Mr. Raghavendra. Yeah, yes, please.
Good afternoon. I am
Yes.
Raghavendra, retired chief engineer from Karnataka Urban Water Supply and Drainage Board. I worked as an advisor in the Rural Drinking Water Sanitation Department in Karnataka.
Okay.
Yes. See, the first, rather than questions, I will put some observations here. Because particularly you are raised about the quantum of water they are using more. Particularly in Tamil Nadu, the temperatures are high, they may be using more water. That may be the required condition. That means not satisfying condition. As per guidelines, the satisfying condition may be there. As per the requisite condition, we may have to use more. But for that, I think I have observed about 4 or 5 states they're having water policy. In Tamil Nadu particularly, there is no water policy. Only water policy they have only some GO for collection of some minimum amount. Above that, the Gram Panchayat is given a clear-cut mandate. To that extent, it is okay. But as per, they are not following the JJM guidelines, because as per JJM guidelines, as per Margadashika, what you have said in the last, all, for example, SBM expenditure, incomes, everything should be included. As per Margadashika, village action plan is not done in Tamil Nadu. That is very much important. And second observation, what I have done is, VWC is not working. As per JJM guidelines, VW should be much higher impacting role on water supply and sanitation when compared to Gram Panchayats, because the Gram Panchayat president is there and all financial discipline, administrative discipline has to be taken by BWSC. And then the bookkeeping and what I call that housekeeping, particularly the register maintenance, are not as per the O&M operation and maintenance manual for rural water supply schemes, because they have to maintain all this register. Rana Sabha's lot of the information regarding quantity, quality, everything, and even finances, how much they are getting from each head and how they are going to do. That has been not maintained. And finally, because this, why I am emphasizing BWS is I have come across with one of the major MVS schemes. See, their Gram Panchayat has to pay a flat rate of how much quantity they are supplied, whether they are supplied or not. They are supplying intermittently. They are not supplying continuously. When it is inquired, they are telling the water meters are not working. Water meters are not working. That is a problem. And also, the Gram Panchayats are not aware what is the quantity of water they are getting from the multi-villages scheme. Because they get the water or not. For example, if they are getting 100 meter cube per day, whether they are not getting the that much quantity or not, but they are putting the flat rate for 100 meter cube there because their pumps are more and their expenditure is more. Thought board are doing their own thing because to maintain their financial conditions sustainable. But what about the Gram Panchayat? It should be there. That should be. See, the next point is your risk collection. See, the financial discipline major thing is ISS has to work on this, not only to water quality, take the water, drink the water from system, but also this, what is the quantity you are getting for the Gram Panchayat? What is the generation and how much you have to get it? So if they are getting 125, 100, 200, there is, I don't find it is very difficult unless otherwise there is a cap on there. If the resources is good, sustainable at this level, there is no problem. But only the thing, it should be more than 55 LPCD. That is the thing. And then your the second point is last final. This thing is electricity bills are exorbitant. Exactly, I will agree. Why can't we can think of other thing? Because when these books are kept properly maintained, these they can think of from where they can fund that electricity bill or how they can reduce it. There are two types. Once you reduce the quantity of water you are pumping, or you have to go for alternate things because you don't want to pay the electricity bill, huge electricity bill, then go for some solar, because all this rural water supply scheme will be 5 HP, 10 HP, 20, maximum is 15 HP. So they can go for solar, so they can tie up their electricity bills. These are the solutions as an external person I expect for. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You have shared some valuable points. This 55 liter per capita that you are saying, this 55 liter per capita, although Jal Jeevan Mission is saying, and I hope you have seen the guideline, they are saying it is 55 liter, but the states can aspire to provide up to 70 liter per capita. The states, it is possible the state can aspire to give up to 70 liter per capita. But if we are going beyond 70, and a researcher like me, when we go and see, we accept up to 70, beyond 70, we take it as water wasted, water overuse. That's how we will interpret, because we need to have some standards to be able to put across your point. So
sir, exactly.
The standard is 55 and the aspiration is 70, but if you are using more, that is something we need to think about. And also, when I spoke, I spoke more about the peptide.
As a researcher, I also request you. So why they are using? It is not only the human tendency; it is the requirement of the climatic condition that make you to use more water. Just it is an average thing that we can put. That's why, as I clearly emphasize, as a Tamil Nadu, the temperature will be high and humid. They may require more also. See, that is also you have to take, as a researcher, you have to put it that instead of 70, it may be require another 10 or 20. So those things you have to come across. That is my intention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, really very good observation by Raghavendra sir. Definitely it will be helpful to NIRT also in his future studies. Any other participants for any question? In the meantime,
Dr.
Bhavna
Shivaram,
Trivedi
I
has
think Dr.
informed
Shivaram has
us
raised his.
that Bhavna Trivedi has lost her connection, so she could not put her question. Now, Dr. P. Shivaram, he is in the line. Dr. Shivaram, sir, are there?
Yeah, yes, sir. Good afternoon, Dr. Ramesh.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
It's a very good presentation with very nice analysis. I must appreciate you. That's number one. Coming to, I'm taking cue from Rana Singh Saab. And that 127 liters. And also, even you said that, 70 liters. But, and again, the question arises here. You said that, electricity bill. Okay, fine. Not only electricity bill, we also consider groundwater. How much water is being extracted? That is also the lot of pressure on groundwater. Okay. And as Raghavendra Saab rightly mentioned, that because of maybe 2-3 times they may go for bathing in Tamil Nadu, and other places they may not be. That is also one of the reasons we have to take into consideration. Another important, my point is that, and recently I have seen one of the IEC from Italy. Less is more. The hoarding I have seen, some of the friends they have sent me, less is more. In other words, less water consumption is distribution to many. And that type of IEC campaigns to be conducted in these 17 villages. Okay, budget, everything will be there. And another important thing is one must take into consideration of water budgeting. Of course, Raghavendra Saab has already covered. These are some of the things, my own observations I wanted to make it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Less is more. You say less is more. How much water is enough water? In other words, if you can ask how much water is enough water, how much money is enough money, right?
Yes, that is what I want to say. Recently, that is a beautiful hoarding I have seen.
Okay.
And really, one must appreciate. Less water means you can distribute to more to others. And another question I want to know that whether really this 127 liters of water is available there in Tamil Nadu. That is again, my question.
I was mentioned 1 liter per capita. They call themselves model because they are able to provide water like water, plenty of water, and they are happy that they are able to provide water like that, which they don't realize that, as you say, it is causing a lot of groundwater stress, as you rightly mentioned, groundwater stress, besides other things I mentioned like the electricity bill and other things.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ramesh.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shivaram sir, for the last question. And once again, thank you for Ramesh sir for clarification the matter. So quickly, let us check if there is anybody with a question or any doubt. All participants, but I have not seen any raised hand. So probably we can leave the webinar now because yes, no raised hand. Okay. So it is really a very nice session. And it is always an appeal from SPM Nivas also to all the participants. If you have some good presentation, you can make a good presentation regarding good practice or anything you want to share with all stakeholders across the country. You can contact us for such presentation. And we are here to give you a platform. And thank you very much once again for encouraging us by participating in this session. And such session will definitely enhance our knowledge. It is a system of cross learning also. In today's session, you have seen that there's not only the question answer, there is a interaction regarding the findings also. And I hope that we will meet again. I request Dr. Ramesh Shah to put some more presentation because NIRD is such an institute, and all the participants will love to know that we are entering in a MOU very soon. SP Nivas and IRD to conduct some joint ventures. So definitely it will enhance our knowledge, our cross-learning process. Thank you very much, Dr. Ramesh, sir, once again, and thank you very much all the participants who questioned, and thank you very much to all the participants who has encouraged us. So with your permission, I want to close this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.
इसको क्या तारीख मैसेज पे कैसे काटे तारीख मैसेज आ रहा था किसी ने पीपीटी मांगा है मतलब मैं इसको पीपीटी से मांगता है दे देता हूँ